Minutes to log on here. It takes a minute. I hope you're all doing well. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to talk about this topic about pricing your photography packages, specifically wedding photography packages, um, during the recession and during a time when the verbiage of inflation is playing more of a factor in people's buying decision process. Because if you're not new here, you know that anytime that recession language is floating around in society and culture, anytime that recession language is just like out there in the ether, even if somebody is not actually significantly impacted by the recession by way of finances, um, they're still going to have that lens that they're looking through of inflation and recession. So this is something that I think is impacting the wedding photography industry right now. It's probably impacting the wedding industry as a whole. I know that I have been receiving more requests for discounts. I know that I have been receiving inquiries where clients have a little bit more of a stricter budget. I know that right now money is a bigger determiner for clients than maybe it has been in the past, because the risk of recession, the risk of inflation, the risk of also people losing their jobs is looming large. And this, was kind of bound to happen after the pandemic, after people leaving their jobs, during the pandemic, that kind of stuff. So these kinds of things are bound to happen. This is a normal cycle. But that doesn't make it any less scary, especially for us entrepreneurs, especially if wedding photography is our primary source of income. And what I want to share with you today are actually some unpopular opinions. And I just want to give you the caveat around that I understand that some of what I'm about to share with you is unpopular. I understand that you might not like what I'm about to hear, but there is a level of practicality to it that we really need to take hold of. And I think that being somebody who is creative and a creative, I know in creative industries, sometimes we lack the attention that we need to put towards logic because we are so used to being creative. And yes, we thrive when we're being creative, but we are also people who need to pay our bills. And I think that I'm unique in this situation because I've been in the wedding industry for 13 years. I have 2 degrees in business, but I'm also somebody who is creative. So I use a lot of both sides of my brain in my daily life, and I always have. That has just always been who I've been. I've always been interested in business. I've always been interested in how things work and the logistics of things and the why behind things. And I've always been somebody who has had more artistic leanings. And so when we're thinking about what's going on with wedding photography packages and how we want to be pricing them during the recession, and when inflation language is impacting clients' ability to make decisions regarding like how we're pricing our services, I think before we even do anything, before we even get into the pricing piece of it, I think we really need to consider the practicality of it, in that we need to get outside of the all or nothing thinking. And I think when we are only surrounded by communities and individuals that are within the same industry, we end up in almost a silo where we do end up being very impacted by all or nothing thinking of either this has to work or it will not work, right? And there's no nuance and no in between. But you have more options to make money than just the traditional way that you've been running your business and the traditional way of being a wedding photographer. For a lot of people, this will mean that they will add to their portfolio of offerings, essentially. So maybe you're a wedding photographer, but you want to be offering more opportunities to work with you in different ways, right? So maybe you love wedding photography, but you're going to offer a day or a weekend of mini sessions. Hi, Shelby. Hi, Debbie. Maybe you're a wedding photographer, but you're going to offer maybe anniversary sessions or couple sessions, and you're going to start marketing that a little bit more than you have before. Maybe you're also going to be more open to photographing events or photographing like things that you may not traditionally offer, like maybe senior sessions. And the reason I say this is that you don't only have to have one way of making money in your business, especially in a situation where you feel like you need to keep yourself afloat, right? And then I also this is the unpopular opinion that I think really bothers people, but you don't only have to be a wedding photographer. That is the absolute truth. If you're a wedding photographer and you're feeling like the recession and inflation is impacting you, your quality of life, and you're having a hard time not only keeping your business afloat, but keeping your life afloat, you don't need to only be relying on wedding photography. You can go out and get another job. You can work at other places. I did this myself for so long, and there's no shame in it, right? And I think that going back to the idea of being surrounded by communities that are only in our own industries, we don't see this as an option. And we don't see this as something that is at our disposal, essentially. We don't see the fact that we can make money in different ways as a valid option, but it is, right? Because if you need to make money to earn a living, it doesn't necessarily matter where you earn the money or how you earn the money, right? You can still be a business owner and have a successful wedding photography business and still be working part-time elsewhere or even full-time elsewhere. And just because you're doing that to make sure that your bills are paid does not dilute the impact of your success or the impact of your business itself. You're still doing what you want to be doing as a wedding photographer, even if you're making money elsewhere. And that may not seem glamorous. It may not seem exciting. You may feel some type of way about it. I get it. I understand. But at the end of the day, you are the only person who's responsible to set yourself up for success. And some of that setting yourself up for success is sometimes doing things that you don't want to do that maybe bruise your ego a little bit. I'll tell you, when I was working at my 9 to 5, I wanted to leave my 9 to 5 earlier than I actually did. But I knew that in order to set myself up for success, I had to work there for a specific amount of time until I had a specific amount of money saved up so that I could lean back on it in the case of emergencies, right? Or in the case of quieter seasons, right? And so sometimes we just have to do things we don't want to do. We have to do things at the expense of our ego to make sure that we can pay our bills, right? And just because we're doing that doesn't mean that we're any less successful than if we were just doing wedding photography alone. And I actually would go so far as to say it's actually being resourceful. It's actually setting yourself up for success. It's actually making sure that you feel financially safe as you move forward. Because I can tell you, one of the worst feelings in the entire world is waking up in the middle of the night and not being sure how you're going to pay your bills. I know this feeling, right? This is the feeling that I had when I was in college and I took out all of my student loans and I was like, this is going to be great for me now. But what happens when I graduate? There was no guarantee that I would get a job and a decent paying job, right? And so I know this feeling of waking up in the middle of the night and being like, can I pay my bills, right? And that is the worst feeling in the entire world. And also, there's something here too, where when you're not feeling good in your life, when you're feeling strain at any point in your life, it's that much more difficult for you to actually show up for your business. So having another job, making money in different ways than being a wedding photographer is not going to be something that dilutes your ability to show up in your business. You may have different capacity, but you're probably still going to be able to show up in your business in really good ways because you feel like you're financially supporting yourself, because you're not waking up in the middle of the night, because you're not anxious 24/7 around what kind of booking you're getting next, or if you're getting a booking next, right? So with that being said, I think there's also something here that I want to talk about too, with when you're pricing yourself within a recession, when you're pricing yourself around verbiage of inflation, this is not the time for discounts. And again, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I truly believe that this is not the time for discounts. And I'll tell you why. I think that you should be offering maybe different options to work with you, maybe more flexibility in payments, right? Maybe smaller packages or team packages to enable people to still work with you, even with more limited budgets. But it's not the time for actual discounts, right? Because when we discount, that's actually a lot of the time, obviously, like based in a need, a desire to make money, right? But at the same time, it also lacks creativity, right? Like there are ways that you can make money in your business still that require you to put on your creative brain and think about what you can offer to your clients now that will be supportive and a great option for them, but still won't dilute what you bring to the table. And when I'm talking about discounts, there are a few different main reasons that I don't think the discount should be offered, honestly, at any point in time. It's very rare that I recommend a discount. It's very rare that I support a discount. And it's especially going to be something that I don't recommend in a recession, because recession discounts are a different beast, essentially. Where, like, let's just say you have somebody from high school who inquires with you. You kind of understand their financial situation a little bit. You want to give them a little bit of wiggle room in their package. That's a different type of a discount than a discount where you're doing it because you're scared you're not going to book anything else. That's different. That's very different. And here are the reasons why I think that discounts should not be something that we automatically run to in the event of a recession, in the event of somebody bringing up the fact that inflation is the thing right now. Number one, it undervalues what your current clients have already paid. And sometimes we really do need to remain in integrity and in fairness to our clients. And when I bring this up, I would love to give the example of, let's just say you have somebody who booked you maybe a year ago for an upcoming wedding in October, right? That's prime wedding season, prime date, right? They paid prime prices, right? Maybe you even upcharged them a little bit because you knew it was going to be a prime date, right? Some people do that, and that's not bad necessarily, but it's, within your own business strategy to decide what you want to be upcharging for. And they paid, let's just say they paid $5,000. And then somebody comes to you now where you haven't had like great bookings in a little bit. Maybe your calendar is looking a little sparse and you're like, like I need to add to my calendar. Somebody comes and inquires with you for that, for the October date, another prime October date, the weekend after these clients that have already been booked. And you say to yourself, hey, I'm going to give them a discount. Even if you don't say to them, I'm going to give you a discount, like, that you're giving them a discount, right? So maybe you quote them, instead of the 5,000 that somebody already paid, you quote them at 4,000, right? And what happens if those clients find out? How would you feel as a client? How would you feel knowing that you've planned out your finances to hire this photographer that you really wanted to work with, and you hired them at a premium price, and then a year or so later, somebody else pops up and gets a discounted price, right? That's a little funky. And I think it's up to you to determine like whether or not that feels good. But I know for me, that's not something that's going to feel good. And it actually undercuts and undervalues the clients that have already put trust in me. So that's the first thing. And it also undervalues the industry. So when you offer discounts and when you're in maybe Facebook groups, or you're presenting your prices online and you're saying, if you book by X date, you'll get X number of dollars off or a percentage off. Or if you even dilute your prices themselves without even having the caveat of a discount around it, it begins to dilute the industry around you. And so as your prices begin to influence the prices of the people around you and the businesses around you, that begins to dilute the industry as a whole. And if you are somebody who wants to maybe get back up to the rate that you used to be at, or maybe you want to get up to a higher rate, it's going to be more and more difficult the longer that you offer these diluted rates to bring yourself back up to the price that you really want to be charging, because the industry will not follow quickly behind, and neither will your market. And what happens is that people at different price points need different types of messaging, different types of marketing in order to make a robust purchasing decision. And what will happen will be that your marketing will be speaking to a specific market at a specific price point that's normally less than what you actually offer. And then when you want to bump up more, it's going to be difficult and it's going to be time consuming, and it will take time for the market to follow along behind you, right? And there are going to be multiple factors that will kind of slow you down. It might feel like you're trudging in mud for a little bit of time after you've presented yourself as a lower cost option for however amount of time. If you want to get up to that newer, higher rate, it's just going to be a difficult process. And it's going to be especially difficult if the industry around you has begun to really dilute itself in general, right? Because without fail, your prices do influence other people in the local market to think about how they want to be pricing themselves. And so it is something to consider, that if you're going to be offering discounts, it's not just something that's a short-term thing. It's going to be something that actually impacts you long-term, and it will impact the industry long-term. And that's something that just needs to be considered when you're thinking about offering discounts for a significant amount of time. And then also there is the energetic misalignment when we come to offering discounts, where we undervalue ourselves. And when we undervalue ourselves, then we inadvertently give clients the opportunity to undervalue us as well. And different clients need to hear different things and need to be supported in different ways at different price points. And usually with individuals who have like lower price points, that can sometimes be a point of agita between you and the clients, because usually people who have lower budgets see dollars and cents in a very different way than people who have higher budgets. And because the value of a dollar is placed at a higher value for people who have lower budgets, there are going to be more expectations put on you. And so the last thing you actually want to do is to undervalue yourself, even in a recession, because then it teaches your clients that they can undervalue you as well. And it becomes something where you are constantly battling against the expectations, constantly managing the expectations of a market that maybe you're really misaligned for in the first place. And it's such a tricky thing, this idea of like the recession, of inflation, of pricing yourself, of discounts and things of that nature. It's such a tricky thing, and everybody has to make their own decisions for their own businesses. But I hope that what I'm sharing with you here today is something that makes your wheels turn a little bit, makes you think about things a little bit differently, makes you understand things a little bit differently and a little more nuanced, and also gives you the opportunity to understand that when you adjust your packages and you price your packages a certain way to meet what's going on in society currently, it's not something that only impacts you in the now. It's something that will also impact you in the future. You will carry that with you, because you also have to think too, if you offer discounted services and you end up booking misaligned clients, you're maybe bringing in a quick cash injection now, right, with the retainer and the ongoing payments. But in a year, that client is still going to be annoying you. And that's the truth. And they're annoying you because they were misaligned with you from the beginning, because their price point is not truly the market that you are supposed to be serving in, right? Only you can designate that. There's nothing wrong with being in a low ticket market. It's just that when you're in a low ticket market, you have to do more, right? You have to do more and be more. And that is the absolute truth. You have to manage more expectations. You have to have more communication. You have to have more photo editing skills. You have to offer more support. You have to, it's just more. It's just more. And there's and you have to present yourself as more of an option in that you're going to overload your calendar, right? So if you're somebody who only wants to have like 20 weddings a year, you can't be pricing yourself at $2,000, $3,000. It will not work, especially if you're in a high ticket market. Where I am in the Hudson Valley, it's a high ticket market. This is one of the most expensive places in the US to get married, right? And so then there's also something here too to be said that like if people are paying money to get married in a high ticket market, but they can't afford your wedding photography services, that's on them. That's not on you, but they've made the choice to get married in a high ticket market. So your prices can reflect the fact that you're in a high ticket market and you're also a high ticket commodity, right? And with that being said, I do just kind of want to come back around to the idea that somebody else's budget is no determiner of your pricing and your costs. What your pricing needs to be is something that covers your cost of doing business in addition to your cost of living, right? And so if your business is not getting you up to that point, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we have to build up to that. I know I had to build up to that for several years. It's okay if you're still in the building phase, but you have to be realistic about the finances that are available to you, the financial opportunities that are available to you, which means sometimes you're going to have to get a different job, right? Another job. That's the truth. Sometimes that means that you're going to have to diversify what you offer for your clients. Sometimes that means you're going to have to be a little more flexible about what you provide. But that does not mean that you change your prices to match what's going on in the market or in society. It means that you have to do what you have to do to be financially secure and safe. And that may mean that you have to look at things a little bit differently. So I hope that helped you with everything regarding pricing within a recession, within inflation stuff going on. These are cycles that are going to continue to happen. This is not, most likely, this is not going to be something that's like one and done. When I graduated from college, I graduated during a recession. And I remember our president at baccalaureate basically said, you're all graduating during a recession, so good luck. And we were like, okay, like here we just spent thousands of dollars on a college education, but okay, like I hope we get jobs. And that's not the attitude that I want us to look at in the wedding industry. Like, I don't want it to be like, okay, hope we get booked. I think it needs to be something where you understand that you actually have the power in whatever situation you put yourself into. And that means that your finances are your responsibility. And that means that sometimes you have to look at things a little bit creatively and a little differently. So thanks so much for being here. I will chat with you all soon.